They had always been just friends, Maya and Jordan, the kind of friends who laughed too loud, stayed up too late, and never had to think about how they showed up around each other. Because everything between them was easy. Whether they were arguing over video games, teasing each other through movie nights, or sitting across from each other with coffee that went cold because the conversation never seemed to end. They were comfortable, familiar, and completely unaware that what they had was already deeper than they understood. Maya never saw Jordan as anything more than her best friend, the one person who understood her without explanation, and Jordan never crossed that line either, not because he couldn't, but because some friendships feel too important to risk. But sometimes, the strongest connections are the ones that change when you least expect them to. It happened on a night that neither Maya nor Jordan had planned, a quiet moment that shifted into something neither of them fully understood until it was already too late. And when it was over, they didn't talk about it. They didn't define it. They just buried it, silently agreeing it would never happen again. And for a while, it seemed like they meant it. Maya moved forward, opening herself to something stable, something safe. And that's when Daniel came into her life, calm, patient, and intentional in a way that grounded her, loving her without pressure, without questions. And Jordan tried to do the same. That's when Elise entered his life. Elise was confident, observant, and emotionally aware in a way that made it hard to hide anything for long. And at first, everything felt easy, light, uncomplicated. But the more time she spent with Jordan, the more she noticed something wasn't fully there. It showed in the way his attention drifted sometimes, in the pauses between his words, in the quiet distance he didn't even realize he was creating. She didn't confront him immediately. She watched, she understood, and slowly, she realized that Jordan's heart wasn't as free as he wanted it to be. So one evening, without anger, without drama, Elise made her own decision. She stepped back, not because she wasn't enough, but because she knew she deserved someone who was fully present. And just like that, she exited his life with quiet clarity, leaving behind a truth Jordan could no longer ignore. But even after that, even with distance, even with new beginnings, something between Maya and Jordan remained unfinished, something unspoken, something neither of them fully faced. And then everything changed again. Maya found out she was pregnant. The moment felt unreal, like the ground beneath her had shifted, because this wasn't just about her anymore. This was about a life, a future, and the first person she told wasn't Daniel. It was Jordan. Because no matter how complicated things had become, Jordan was still part of that night, still part of the truth she was now facing. They needed answers, something certain, something they could hold on to, so they agreed to a DNA test, hoping it would bring clarity. And when the results came back, they pointed to Daniel. It wasn't questioned. It wasn't questioned. It felt simple, almost too simple, like everything had fallen back into place. And so Maya leaned into that version of reality, and Daniel stepped forward fully, embracing the role without hesitation. And for a moment, life felt steady again. But something didn't feel right. It was subtle at first, a quiet feeling Maya couldn't explain, in the way her body changed faster than expected, in the way her instincts refused to settle. And that doubt grew, so Maya went back. She asked for the test again. And this time, the truth came differently. The first test had been wrong. A lab error. A mistake that had quietly rewritten all of their lives. And now, the truth was undeniable. Jordan was the father. The weight of it hit Maya all at once, everything she had tried to stabilize suddenly shifting again, forcing her to face what she had been avoiding all along. For Daniel, the realization was quiet but devastating, not loud, not angry, just deeply human, because he had already stepped into a role he believed was his. And now he had to step back For Jordan, it was overwhelming, a truth he hadn't expected, but one that settled into him with undeniable clarity. That night, Maya sat alone, thinking about everything: Daniel's steady love, Jordan's complicated truth, the life growing inside her. And for the first time, she stopped asking what was easiest and started asking what was real. Daniel loved her with patience, with stability, with a kind of love that stays. Jordan loved her with something deeper, something that had existed long before either of them understood it. And in that moment, Maya knew she couldn't choose out of comfort, or guilt, or fear. She had to choose truth. So when she stood in her living room, with Daniel on one side and Jordan on the other, she finally spoke. She looked at Daniel first, her eyes filled with gratitude and quiet sadness. And then she turned to Jordan. And in that small movement, everything changed. Daniel didn't fight it. He didn't argue. Because sometimes love doesn't fight to stay. Sometimes it respects the choice. He walked away with quiet dignity. And Jordan stood there, almost unable to believe it, the weight of everything settling into him as he realized Maya had chosen him, not by accident, not by confusion, but by truth. And for the first time, he allowed himself to feel it. And in the quiet of a new morning, Maya and Jordan walked forward together, not because their story had been perfect, but because it had been honest. Because sometimes the truth doesn't break you, it leads you exactly where you were meant to be.